Welcome back, everyone, to Ideas Spotlight here on Beyond the Brick. I'm Joshua Hanlon, and today I'm joined by Sleepless Knight to talk about his Lego Castle Ideas project. And I'd like to thank Clone Army Customs for their support of this live stream and of Beyond the Brick. If you want to find awesome Lego Star Wars minifigures and custom accessories, head on over to clonearmycustoms.com. Now, as I mentioned, our guest today goes by Sleepless Knight online, so you might recognize his username on Ideas or other platforms. So thanks so much for joining us. You can start by just introducing yourself briefly, and then we'll launch on in with the project.
Hello. So my name is Marcin Dramiński. I'm from Poland. I'm an Afol for a few years. Currently, I'm in digital mode because I have just small kids who can't play Lego yet. They play only Duplo, like. So, so that's it. I just had to switch to the digital mode. Actually, switching. Going back to Lego. Should have the advantage of not sitting in front of the computer all the time. So that's why I wanted to play Lego. But then, unfortunately, I'm still sitting in front of the computer and playing Lego. So, yeah.
Sometimes it just ends up that way, but I'm glad you can still produce some awesome builds. So that's what we want to talk about today. So this is the Castle of Lord Afol and the Black Knights that you have here. And I'm a big fan of Lego Castle and medieval builds. I've talked about a lot on our live streams about how I would love for Lego to bring back a really high quality, decent medieval castle theme because it's been so long since they've had one. And sets like this really give me hope for the future because I hope that Lego notices this type of thing and we'll see how much fans want it. So that's why I want to get these projects to 10,000 votes. So with that said, why don't you start in with kind of the inspiration for this castle in particular and how you decided to do this build?
Yeah, so as you said, there's a lot of nostalgia for classic castle especially among older fans of Lego. Me myself, when I came back to Lego after a few years after the dark ages, I was inspired by the many MOCs of castles that people do awesome stuff with Lego, but some of the best are castles. Yeah, so I was really surprised that Lego discontinued the castle team, but I think it was maybe because there was Lord of the Rings, there was Harry Potter after some time, the Vikings, even Ninjago all took slices of this pie. So maybe there was just no place for classic castle. But there are so many people that just love castles. There are classic castle groups on Facebook. Lots of people still build huge castles that they show on conventions, exhibitions, and so on. It's really it's really obvious that people want it. And as also there are many ideas projects that present classic castles, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. I mean, because most people that really want castles are older fans. Then I wanted to combine the classic castle looks and aesthetics with design quality and level of details of modulars, right? Because modulars are I'm specifically targeted to or directed to AFOLs, and so I thought maybe it would make sense really to build a castle that has the same level of detail.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a great kind of design philosophy, is going in for that extra level of detail. And that's something that, some of the castle sets we've gotten in the past have definitely not had a ton of detail. And even some of the older classic stuff from maybe like the 90s era, that is some really cool stuff, still was just kind of, big base plates, and there wasn't always a ton of that detail kind of packed inside it. So when you take that modular idea, I think you can really do a lot with it.
Yeah. So just like the classic castles, it's built of sections, right? So you can So you can just pull them apart and and present it this way, like on this image. So you can display it this way if it's more convenient, and it's obviously better to play if you can just disconnect these sections. So
Yeah, you can see how many sections there are right here with this image, and I love this because it shows how modular it is. It shows how easy it is to kind of mix and match parts so that you can really get creative with it and create all sorts of different designs.
yeah, so the levels are can be disconnected like in modulars, and the sections can be disconnected like in old castles. I mean, in old castles you usually had hinges, and you can
Right.
just here you can just disconnect them, but it's more or less the same, I think. Modulars have the same kind of joints, so this is where the inspiration was drawn from. So yeah, I think what I aimed for was the level of detail and complexity of modulars with the aesthetics of classic castle. I also wanted to include some play features because, of course, the old castles had some very nice play features, and it would be a shame if it didn't have them. So yeah, so there's of course a drawbridge, the portcullis. There are two trapdoors. Yeah, this is one of them.
There you go. I love it.
Yeah, this one I think it's nice because when you turn the armor, which is in armory, is a full plate armor in an armory. If you turn it, it activates the trapdoor. So if you have an unwanted guest, you can invite him to the armory and and he is thrown to the dungeon. And this is the other trapdoor. Yeah, this is maybe even funnier because this is a trapdoor in the toilet, right? So in a latrine. So if your unwanted guests go to do his job, let's say, then you can expel him this way. And what was the inspiration behind it? So maybe you heard about Knights of Teutonic Order, right? The German knights.
Yeah.
They are real villains of Polish history, and they built a lot of castles. And the specific feature of these castles were Dansker. It was a separate tower that only housed latrines. It was specifically built only to house latrines. And these were huge towers at times. So because they were villains, because they put so much effort into building the latrines, the legend was born that they used the latrines to get rid of some inconvenient people, right? This is how where the inspiration was drawn from. So I am not sure if Lego is going to actually implement it this way. I'm really not sure if it fits the philosophy, but who knows? Who knows?
Do a lot of those castles still exist in Poland today? Are you able to visit some of those and see kind of design features and see some of these elements of that?
Yes, I mean these castles are actually built of bricks, so they look quite differently from this one. But this particular feature is based on this black legend of the Teutonic Knights.
Yeah, so what are some of the other, you mentioned the play features, what are some of the other details that you were able to include in here? This image kind of shows different rooms and elements of the design that you were able to include.
Yeah, so most of the rooms are in the basement actually, because if you want a castle, then you need to have a courtyard. You need to have some curtain walls. You need to have some gate tower and so on. You also need this drawbridge, and then you also want some. I also wanted some decent level of detail, and there is a limit of 3,000 bricks on Lego Ideas, which kind of makes sense because otherwise people would submit, life-sized pyramids. And but it's really hard. It's really hard to build a castle that has, a courtyard and everything it needs to have. and still fit in 3,000 bricks and not use too many panels. I still used panels. I still use panels because it was just impossible to build everything from 1 by 2 bricks.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them are partially covered or hidden in places where they don't look ugly. I succeeded in not using burps. I built the rocks from wedge. Okay, there's one burp, but it's not a classic burp. It's
Smaller
a
one.
rock piece. There's only one, but these are just wedges of different kinds and shapes. So yeah, but because of the size constraints, I had to put most of the rooms in the basement, right? So you have a kitchen, you have what, pantry, you have a dining room, you have a living room, you have a strong room. You also have a dungeon where one of the trapdoors leads, and you also have a quite torture chamber. Well, torture chamber is maybe a breach of rules to an extent, because the rules of LEGO Ideas say clearly that there can be no torture. But there's no torture. There's only a torture room. So,
You let the kids. It's a choose your own adventure. It's just a room, and the kids can decide what they want to do with it.
Of course, there's a torture chair as well, but you don't need to use it. Actually, I saw skeletons in cages or skeletons hanging from a chain from something in Lego sets directed to kids, right? And this is directed to Afol, so I don't really think it's an issue, but I can make some concessions here.
I mean, I've been building just recently on some of our live streams, building the Barracuda Bay ideas set, and there are multiple skeletons. Like there's one that's in like the prison cell. There's one that's kind of like half in the water. So I mean, yeah, they definitely include those sorts of elements in builds.
Yeah, that's for sure. So the same stuff with weapons, right, and other things.
One thing that I think is really cool with this project is you've continued to update it over the months here, and there are some really neat updates you've done. Most recently, I think it was just today actually that you did a Halloween update.
Yes. I had a Halloween update because some people said that the roof of the tower looks like a witch's head. I thought, well, it does. So let's build up on it.
I love this. So you really went, dark and kind of grittier with this. You were talking about the skeleton hanging there by the chain. So you've just got a very different feel to it. So talk about some of what you changed to create this look.
So I just added some pumpkins, some skulls here and there. I modified some walls to include, the skull-like look, and the rounded tower is modified to look like a witch with a huge nose and this beautiful hat. Colors are slightly changed, right? So it fits more the Halloween.
Yeah, and the purple roof and everything, and then the pumpkins around, and I think it's a good example of how easily you can switch stuff out and create a different feel to the set. You've even got kind of that path leading up to it with the knight walking down there with the bow, so it really creates a really nice scene when you add all these different elements in. You got some like glowing heads and fire and stuff there.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun actually in creating promotional images for this set, because I promoted it quite heavily on Facebook, especially, but also on Instagram, for example. And I really had a lot of fun in creating some scenes. You also have a siege by the Black Falcons here, right? Of course, the siege machine, the siege tower, is not a part of the project because it would exceed the part count. But yeah, I had a lot of fun in doing this.
I love the siege photo as well. Yeah, and it shows kind of more of an action shot where you've got the castle under attack and you've got different forces represented. Talk about then how you make these promotional images. What do you use to make these? Because they all look amazing in the way you were able to set the mood with it.
Generally, these are just renderings made with Bricklink Studio, and then I added background, mostly my own pictures. They took some time before, not knowing that they will be useful for this thing. And then I edited all of this in Lightroom to add some climate. It really makes a difference. If you could scroll a little bit down, because we're on ideas page, yeah, you also have a micro castle of Lord Afol, because Lord
Oh, look at that.
Afol, right? So he needs his own Lego castle. So he has a Lego castle in his throne room. So,
Yeah, he's got a micro version of his own castle.
yes. This kind of inception, right?
No, that's super cool. Yeah. So with this build in mind, then, if Lego turned this castle into a set, do you have other types of medieval builds that you could see fitting well with this? Maybe other like village buildings or things that would go along with it. Other ideas you've had?
Well, I built a few MOCs of medieval towns, but yeah, they would look quite well together with this one. But I don't share them anywhere because I just build them for my own fun. I mean, I share the pictures, but not instructions or anything. I don't have digital models for them. Actually, I dismantled all of them because of the kids. So now in the wardrobe in pieces. But yeah, I think I will definitely do something more, building upon this experience. Actually, I got a lot of feedback, mostly positive, but people are also talking what could be improved, and it's very valuable.
Yeah, that's great when people can have constructive, kind of criticism on a build like this and say, have you thought about doing this, or here's something you could add, or something you can change up. I think that's always helpful to, especially on ideas projects, because the goal is to make it an official set, and so you kind of have to approach that differently than you would just a mock for yourself. You want something that the general public will be able to build and understand.
Yes, definitely. Uh, well, so I was constrained. The biggest constraint was this 3,000 pieces limit, right? Really, to fit all the things I wanted within this limit, I think it was the biggest achievement. Of course, I didn't include everything I wanted, but most of the things. And I think this is the biggest achievement of this project, right? That I could just fit within this limit. This was really hard, the hard part, and I really had to start over a few times before I just was able to do it the right way. I started it a few times over, and then it was always too big, right? Then I just decided that I need to, divide and conquer, right? Build just piece by piece, one tower after the other, and I decided more or less the layout of the castle, which parts I need to have, and I just built one part after the other, looking at the part count on each stage, right? And I saw, okay, the gate tower took like 650 pieces. It's not bad. I still have this many pieces left, and so on. Yeah, this was the challenge, really. So yeah, I'd love to include I don't know, secret passage, for example, and things like that. But this is just very hard. I hope, with Lego ideas, Lego changes these projects very, very heavily,
Right.
like with the Barracuda Bay. So I hope there can be some additions, right? It can be even bigger than 3,000 pieces, because you have much bigger sets from Lego than 3,000 pieces. So why not this one? If it was 3,500, 3,500, then maybe you could include a few other nice details. Who knows?
Right. But good job constraining yourself, and I'm sure that forced you to be kind of more creative in certain ways as well. That's something that a lot of builders say, is that when you have constraints, instead of just being able to throw limitless numbers of pieces at a project and just do whatever you want, it forces you to come up with more creative solutions.
Yes, that's for sure. Yes, I agree.
Great. Well, it's a fantastic project. So thank you so much for joining me to chat about it today. We'll definitely make sure to put a link in the description to the project so everyone watching this video can go over and support it and help it reach 10,000 votes as soon as possible. Hopefully, if enough of these projects continue to hit 10,000, Lego will realize that fans want more castle projects, and we'll get some more projects from them eventually. So thank you so much. For people who want to see more of your work online, what's the best places to kind of see your mocks and see what you're doing?
Actually, I'm presenting lots of my work on Facebook in different groups and classic castle groups and so on. So I think many people can see them there. I also have an Instagram account where I present my most my best pictures. As you can go there by clicking a link on Lego Ideas. So
Awesome stuff.
it's all linked on Lego Ideas.
We'll look forward to seeing more work from you in the future then.
Yes, definitely. There will be some more work. Um, well, yeah, I'm planning some bigger castle, but not for Lego Ideas, obviously, because you can't have a bigger castle on Lego Ideas. Yeah, I'm working on some total castle, but it will be a long process. So yeah.
Nice. Well, we'll look forward to that. Well, yeah, thank you once again for joining me. I definitely appreciate it and keep up the good work. We'll see everyone